Boston. The Boston Bruins advanced to the Eastern Conference second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2018, following a regular that saw them put up 112 points, the second most in the Eastern Conference. It was a surprising showing for a team that was expected to be a bubble playoff team, but which outperformed expectations before a 5-game loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning in the second round. Still, general manager Don Sweeney entered the off-season with the same disappointment 29 of the 30 other general managers in the NHL faced, all but Brian McClellan of the Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals. It is doubly complicated by the fact that Sweeney is preparing for the 2018 NHL Draft, to be held at American Airlines Center in Dallas. With no first-round pick, it was traded to the New York Rangers for forward Rick Nash on February 25. The first round of the draft is June 22, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, NBCSN, SN, TVAS. Rounds 2 to 7 are June 23, 11 a.m. ET, NHLN, SN, TVAS. In a wide-ranging interview with NHL.com, Sweeney discussed how the Bruins are attacking the off-season, including their interest in Continental Hockey League forward Ilya Kovalchuk, how they're getting ready for the draft, and whether defenseman Torrey Krug, mentioned as a potential candidate for a trade, could be moved out of Boston. What's your overall off-season plan? We've had some talks with pending, unrestricted free agent guys. We're working on our restricted free agent guys. We're going to explore some market stuff. I don't think we're necessarily going too crazy. I mean, we've had opportunities. There's been some trade chatter on some players. We've been linked to having conversations with Kovalchuk's group. I think all those things are areas that we're looking at. Video, Chris Johnston on Ekman Larson, Kovalchuk and Moru continue to hope you get better in our group. I think we're expecting some continued growth with some of our younger players that got a taste. But we don't necessarily expect them to take huge jumps and overvalue what they brought to the table. We like what they've done, how they've been integrated, and we want to continue to improve. We're not expecting exponential leaps in that group, and sometimes you get a tad bit of regression, so we have to be prepared for that. Is it a delicate balance to strike with those players, like forwards Jake DeBrusk and Danton Heinen, and defensemen Charlie McAvoy and Matt Grasick? Absolutely. That's why I made reference to the fact that while we have integrated some younger players and the whole league is doing it, it's not just about putting the next young player in, because that player has to earn that opportunity. And I think all of our players, certainly Jake and Danton, Sean, Kurali, all those guys, Gresick, in that way, they all earned the opportunity, taking advantage of the opportunity, and they earned their position on the team. How do you approach the draft with picks in 5 of the 7 rounds, not including the first round? It's painful. You go through the combine, realize that you have buyer's remorse because you didn't win. You traded a first-round pick, and I said to the guys, I really don't want to be in this position again. You're going through potentially interviewing kids that you have no chance of drafting. That stinks. And so that's first and foremost, but as far as our approach, we have to have our list. We have to look at every different scenario. A bunch of years ago, in 2015, we walked into the draft, and all of a sudden had extra picks, number 13, 14, and 15, based on a conversation that ended at 3 a.m. So you just never know what takes place. You have to be prepared. So you prepare the exact same way, and you expect to be drafting there, and when you have the opportunity you want to make the best pick possible. Video, Boss at TBL, GM1, DeBrusk undeterred by blocked shot. I think we've addressed some organizational needs over the last few drafts, and I think that we're growing our players, and you have to. Every team is doing this, in terms of integrating, and the draft is really a lifeline for all of us. And Hopi, when they're ready, they'll have the opportunity to step in and play. They get to determine that. We like the progression of some of the guys, and the pieces. You look at the center ice position that we now have with Jakob Forsbacher, Carlson, and Trent, Frederick and Jack Studnicka. Now it's a matter of okay, let's see who gets up to speed and who can help us win. Is there any hope that you could move up into the first round of the draft? It's always a hope. As you get closer, it gets harder and harder because people get attached to the people they may be able to draft, so it does become harder. You never know. Like I said, I walked into the other draft not knowing that it'd end up with 3 first-rounders. It happens. You don't rule anything out. You try and prepare for every scenario and see if you can improve your team. Do you foresee any blockbuster-type trades for the Bruins this summer? Make calls and field calls and try to throw some ideas around that maybe you find a fit. I think there's more hockey chatter right now, in terms of hockey trades, that teams are looking to sort of shake things up on their own teams. We have some players that we feel would be marketable. People have called, and rightly so. We also have a group of players that it would really take an away big deal to get us to move. But I have to listen and I have to make calls. Krug's name has been mentioned as a possible trade chip. Is that a possibility for you? Look, you never know. I'm not actively shopping Tory. People call on a lot of different guys that we have. I have private conversations with each and every general manager, but we value what Tory brings to the table. It's very difficult to replace a 60-point guy. He's grown with our organization. He's grown into a leadership role on and off the ice. He's a big part of our success. I'd say it's unlikely. Video, boss at TBL, GM2, Krug buries sharp angle wrist shot. Given the success of the team this, seemingly ahead of schedule, how does that affect your off-season planning? We're not going to change the course. Obviously, we felt our group needed to be rewarded and to try to add to it, being in the position we were in, knowing the hill we had to climb as well, knowing we were probably playing Toronto and Tampa, to try and get through our own division, which is a tough hill. We took a swing. I think our players put themselves in a position to deserve that opportunity. We were trying to be a successful team and get into the dance. Now we hope that we're going to continue to be a successful team, year in, year out. You've got to stay healthy. You've got to have people perform. You've got to have continued growth. When you go to integrate a younger player, you have to have some growth. We've had some growing pains as a result. Who are the next guys that can take that step and help us get there? And I think the organization, from players and feedback and such, is that they're excited about our hockey club, but we need to temper it, because guess where we are? We're right back down at the bottom of the hill with everybody else. It's sobering to think that you're 100 points away from making the playoffs. The year hasn't started and you have to realize it's tough. You've got a lot of work to put in. Well, hope he continue to grow and get an opportunity to be back at it in April.